Can I ask you guys this question about Mark Andrews? Because my eyes may be lying to me on this one. Jeremy, if you could look this up for me, I would appreciate it. I think of Mark Andrews as somebody, and I may have this totally wrong. DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, these two human beings were statistically people who had more tackles than drops in their careers. They tackled people after interceptions more often than you would throw the ball, hit them somewhere within a radius that was seen as catchable, and it ended up being a drop. I don't think of Mark Andrews as someone who ever drops the football. However, whatever the sport does to the human body, that guy is one of the first kind of Gronky people that there have been, leading the Ravens in touchdowns. If you throw the ball near that person, it's not guardable. The DBs aren't big enough. If you throw the ball accurately, he becomes, for Lamar Jackson, what all those receivers were for Drew Brees when it was all timing accuracy, not guardable, always open. 3rd and 11, whether it's Michael Thomas or Mark Andrews, always open, and if you throw it over there, the DB's not going to be able, without interfering, to get around his body to get near the football. Is Mark Andrews a dropper late in his career? Because I was trying to think on the way in here today, did Mark Andrews just Bill Buckner? Like, in whatever the modern equivalent of those things can be.
Jackie Smith.
That's old school, though.
I know who that is.
Well, so is Buckner.
But for the people that don't.
But Jackie Smith is what year? Is that? Are we talking about 1990s?
No, that's a
1970s?
Cowboys Steelers Super Bowl.
1970s?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
so Roy, you went old school there, and you always frighten me and surprise me when you do that because you went old school beyond the old school, and you went to the original Super Bowl.
It wasn't the original. It wasn't
Like
Super Bowl
79
1.
in Roy's defense. I mean, your World Series was 86.
But
I mean,
I'm talking. Yes, but
I mean, it's a comp. I mean, Jackie Smith was a tight end. He dropped the ball in the end zone.
No,
and
but so Jackie Smith, if you were to look that up, I don't know if we'd get in trouble with football footage. We probably would. But if you guys could find Jackie Smith was wide open in the end zone. This was just they threw it at his chest and he failed to catch it. I think that was also in the snow. If I'm not.
No, that was in Miami, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think it was in Miami.
All right, we will find out in a moment.
Wow.
He was just standing in the end zone.
Mark Andrews had 69 targets and 4 drops during the regular season. So
it was the best catch percentage of his career, actually, this year at 79.7%. He's always been above 65%.
He catches roughly 94% of the catchable passes thrown his way.
catchable, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was certainly a catchable pass. It could have been better.
Yeah. Larry Fitzgerald, for his career, Dan, had 29 drops and 41 tackles.
I think DeAndre Hopkins is something like that. It's an amazing couple of stats. I just felt this. I know you guys make fun of me all the time for my weepy, syrupy, I feel bad for so-and-so. For the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson game with some stakes on it that felt like a Super Bowl to end in incompetence instead of competence made me hurt for a Hall of Famer of excellence that we can all agree has his name associated with greatness, most touchdowns in the history of the franchise, but might have just got stamped out by a moment because I don't know what Jackie Smith did in his career. I remember last week when we were talking about Bob Uecker, I failed to mention, like, Bob Uecker for his career batted 200 and, like, had 145 at bats or something. Like, just it didn't play very much, but the rest of his career ended up being his legacy. The thing that made me feel bad for Mark Andrews, beyond just an athlete not being competent in a moment that demands greatness, for all of us to have that as the ending of that game, when I know how great that guy is, and was I just watching everyone diminishing that name to something that's less than great because of the size of that moment and the size of the incompetence.
Super Bowl 13 was in Miami. Jackie Smith's career numbers is 7,918 yards, 40 touchdowns.
No snow, by
Did
the
it
way.
snow? Yeah.
I don't know if there's any coming back from Mark Andrews from that with that organization for a lot of reasons. He's an all-time great for that franchise, but if you've watched him, he's had the injuries. He's got this bigger frame. He's got a bigger number attached to his contract, and Isaiah Likely has been coming for his job.
Right.
And if you remember that moment, what happened right before that play? Isaiah Likely's there for Lamar Jackson. Just like he's been there.
Isaiah Likely, the
season.
last 3 seasons, this is felt fun to watch visually because it's sort of the evolution of the position, and to watch it happening on that team, Stugotz, for that position when you're watching, tell me I don't have this right, because this is pretty rare in football, I think. I have watched Mark Andrews age in a way that's obvious to the eye. I've watched a lot of his career, a lot of those touchdowns. So when he's moving, I can see, not unlike I can see with Patrick Mahomes scrambling, oh, that's where football stole some of his youth. It's the same number. It looks like the same body. I'm expecting it to look the same at the end as it did at the beginning, but it doesn't. And the reminder is in his own huddle when Likely runs down the field, and he doesn't look like he needs WD-40.
Right.
It's not chunks of rust that are falling. No, he's young. Yes.
He's fast.
He's
Andrews is only 29. Like, he played with Baker.
Yes. By the way, Jackie Smith made it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Also, he's white.
Put it on the poll at Batard Show. Maybe that's what I thought with Snow.
Oh.
Has there ever been a white Jackie?
The rapper?
I don't know.
Put it on the poll
Male.
at Batard
McMullen,
Show.
yeah.
Has there ever been a white male Jackie?
Jackie Moon. Harbaugh also went for 2, by the way, in the third quarter. Like, had he just kicked extra points both times, the game would have been tied, and they wouldn't have had to go for 2 at the end of the game.
Maybe McDermott doesn't kick that stupid field goal, though.
Jackie Gleason.
Wore his belt buckle to the side.
Back to you, Dick.
Who wore Jackie Gleason or Stugotz? Who wore their belt buckle?
Jackie Gleason. He
off to the
wears
side.
Belt buckle on the side.
Yeah, he did.
Why?
I don't know.
He's a big man.
Yeah.
Am I right when I frame it in that as the historical perspective that Mark Andrews is now, we now have a moment that's the opposite of excellent, that the football weekend was marred by, instead of greatness, this Hall of Famer, an immortal, really, at the position. You'd say yes, no?
No.
He's just a guy.
Yeah.
Wow, you got him as a Jag?
You think he's like a top... You think Mark Andrews is an immortal? Is he like a top 5 tight
If he
end
put
of all
together
time?
like 3 more seasons,
Is
that
he a top 5 tight
You have
end,
Mark
like,
Andrews
presently?
with Tony Gonzalez and guys like that.
Well, I mean, I got to see the numbers, but I think like if he puts together 3-4 more seasons of what he's done in his career, he might be a borderline Canton guy.
I could make an argument that no one would get behind, that I think George Kittle might be the best tight end that we've seen, because George Kittle has not had the quarterbacks that the great tight ends have had.
Or Bowers. I could go Bowers
come
now.
Oh, Bowers is already there.
Come on, man.
But before
Kittle's the best blocker.
Billy, that was great, and I want you to sharpen that because we're sharpening boldest take here.
I mean, Travis Kelce's had Patrick Mahomes. Gronk had Brady. Who has Kittle had?
He's great. He's indisputably great.
And by the way, half the time they just use him for blocking. Like, they haven't even unleashed him to his full potential.
I would say that George Kittle is probably better than Mark Andrews now and forevermore, but I don't know how you're defining immortal. So perhaps I'm getting carried away.